These days, it can be hard to trust the media. What's true, what's fake, and who is behind the message? I'm a freelance journalist and videographer who has spent years studying the media. Now I'm taking a look at what local, regional, and national news stories mean to us here in North Central Washington. I'm Dominick Bonny, and this is Common Sense. Welcome to another episode of Common Sense. I'm Dominick Bonny, and today I want to get right into the first of two interviews about Governor Jay Inslee's recent proclamation rolling back the county-by-county phased reopening due to a COVID-19 outbreak surge in the state and across our nation. My first interview is with Blair McHaney, who is one of the owners of Works of the Wenatchee Valley. He and other gym owners have to shut down their facilities for another 4 weeks, and he told me that between their two gyms, they spent about $200,000 on sanitation equipment and other measures to prevent the spread of any pathogens. And this is after 7 months of no revenue. Here's our interview.
We just actually had always followed the mask policy that the state had said, so masks when you're entering the gym, when you're leaving, and sort of think of it as commuting around the gym, but you don't have to have them while you're doing exercise. We found that to be a little bit unruly, so we actually changed the policy ourselves, and we just have masks required all the time unless you are on your piece of cardiovascular equipment stationary in one spot, because we know that's a very controlled environment and there's no cross-pathing going on there. Or once you're in the group fitness class and you have what you're going to use for the workout and you're in one spot, in your spot there. Because again, we know which way you're facing, we know how long you're going to be in that one spot. So that's the two instances where we don't require masks. Other than that, we're just requiring masks, or I should say we were requiring masks at all times. I will tell you, overwhelmingly positive feedback from our members about that policy as well. Yeah. And then you can see, we've always had about 15 hand sanitizers throughout our club, and now there's about 20-something hand sanitizers with a lot of, what we call nudge signing, signage to make sure that people sanitize their hands. We do require it when you enter, that you sanitize your hands. We have a touch-free check-in. And then when it comes to sort of the hygiene during your workout, we have two approaches. These are all pre-sanitized before they go out, all hospital-grade disinfectant, and you can pick up your own personal bottle and a black microfiber towel. We encourage people to use that same towel the entire time, because once you get that thing kind of charged with the Virex, this becomes the most sanitized thing in the entire gym. And then it's also sanitizing your hands in between. So it's a good idea to just keep the same one, get it soaked down. So they can either do that, or they have to take a microfiber towel. And you'll notice, Dominic, when we go out here, you'll see that every single piece of equipment has its own spray bottle on it. So we have made sure that we do quite a bit of the nudge, what we call the nudge signage, so that, frankly, a big part of that is our staff has been phenomenal. I've been in business almost 40 years, and hospitality is at our core, and our staff is incredible at delivering that hospitality. And this new world, it's a bit different, because then they've got to be, managing masks and distancing, and so we're trying to make it so that our teams, there's as much joy remaining in their job as possible in this environment, and not to rip that joy out of the work that they do. And then, we kind of got rid of our snack bar area, and one of the things that we've done is to really space equipment out and try to take advantage of every space we can. We installed what's called AirFix systems, and this sort of explains it, but suffice it to say, and I'll show them to you as we walk through, the air in this gym right here, we turn the air over in this gym 6 times every hour. And we reduced that as the weather was getting cold. We were up to about, I think we're at 10 or 20 times an hour. That's an entire air exchange out of here. We're still at 6 times an hour. On top of that, the air is being constantly disinfected with peroxides using these AirFix systems that cover, literally through the cold air returns, covers every cubic feet of our clubs, of both clubs.
Sanitizes the air system.
Yeah, it does, and it also then therefore also sanitizes surfaces, even though We have people sanitizing surfaces, and we use electrostatic sprayers. We use a new technology disinfectant in those sprayers that actually uses microvoltage to kill bacteria and virus, and it'll kill for up to 3 weeks, even after one coverage. So we do that every 2 weeks with that particular, it's called MyShield, with that particular disinfectant. And then we spaced everything out, and where we felt like there was some risk of, we kind of came up with our own innovation here on barriers, and you'll see, I think between the two clubs we've created about 80 different barriers, and a lot of other gyms have now picked this up. We shot a few videos on this, so come on over here and you'll kind of get a view of, all we're doing is using ABS pipe, and then we're using, this is, kind of your winter storm window insulation that you can put on with two-sided tape, and then you put a hairdryer on it. It's pretty forgiving stuff, right? It stretches out and looks nice and smooth. And anywhere else, you kind of see up here, anywhere else where we felt like there was any risk of somebody really exerting really hard, so that members would feel absolutely as safe as possible, and that we could have the safest environment possible. Yeah.
Could you estimate or ballpark just kind of how much cost this was for your business to implement all these new systems? With the
Airfix systems between our two clubs. Now, I'm not talking about the aesthetic improvements, because we spent a lot more during the 6-month shutdown on things that are just aesthetic improvements and things like, blacktop and landscaping and that. We spent almost $200,000 between the two gyms just on safety, and then some of those ongoing operational costs we just budgeted in for way more operational costs ongoing on that, on that line item on the P&L, which is basically a housekeeping and janitorial line item.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And so how will the governor's new guidelines that are taking effect this week, how are they going to affect you?
Well, we went almost 7 months with no revenue, and we were open for 6 weeks, and not just us, Wenatchee Racket and Athletic Club in the same boat, Anytime Fitness in the same boat, the gyms in the valley in the same boat, and especially in these 5 counties that had originally got left behind in phase 1.5. So that's fairly devastating without a stimulus bill out there. So imagine now we're going to be closed for another month minimum, and in a 12-month period, so let's just say that maybe it's 8 months, that you lose 75% of your income. And we have 72 employees, and only of which a few are working. We do allow, while we are shut down, we allow our employees to work out. Okay. But maybe you'll see them. They have to follow the same protocol. They're wearing masks. I'm very, very proud of them. I come walking in here, I have 3 people in this building, and they all have masks on. Yeah. And so they follow the protocol as well. These new. If we don't get open on December 15th, and now I'm sort of speaking for the industry here. Yeah. I just finished a call with the International Health Racket and Sports Club Association CEO. I just finished that call about an hour ago. They are now estimating from the raw data from the member management software companies that we are collaborating with, that as of this minute, 15% of the industry has closed permanently. Another 5% will close by December 31st. Another 5 to 10% will wait for that first quarter to sort of save them. That's sort of a big part, a big kind of harvest for our industry. Yeah. And it's not going to save them. So we'll lose 25% of the fitness industry. I don't know what that means for this valley. Yeah. We'll make it through that, but it's going to be rough going, because it's not just making it through that. The victory isn't opening. The victory is that long path to profitability again, right. Getting your cash flow back. Yeah. Now, we've been fortunate because we have incredible partners in our landlord here, been just a phenomenal partner in our business here. And our lending firms have been excellent to us, and so, you know, if you can adjust your financing, then you're way ahead of the game, and that's one of the first things you need to do. Right. And fortunately, we're in a good position where we can sustain that, but so many won't. Yeah. You know, and these are, you know, people with their personal guarantees on loans, on leases. You know, that's your house, it's your savings, it's, you know, everything you've worked your butt off for your whole life.
Your whole life. Yeah.
And I have to say this, zero evidence of any outbreaks coming from fitness anywhere.
Wow.
And now we've looked at almost 100 million check-ins from both Europe and the US. And even the Washington State Department of Health's own data. And I'm trying to get that narrative out there very strong.
Yeah. So what would the message be, I guess? Two questions would be, first, if you could say something to the governor's office, what would that be? And second, if you could say something to your customers and the community here in North Central Washington, what would that be?
Well, the governor's office, I would say, stop saying that you're looking at the science when you're not. I understand what you're saying when you say, you know, this group of physicians say that it's dangerous to come into health and fitness clubs. And that's the narrative. That's what they have been saying all along. This group of physicians, these epidemiologists, this Texas medical group, they say that it's dangerous to come into fitness. Okay, but now fitness has a lot of data, way more than you do. So at least look at it and start to ask the question, why are we wrong about that? And what you'll see is the things that you and I just went through. What clubs are doing, things are spaced out. We have members, not customers. I can communicate with everybody before they come in. I know who's in the club, I know your phone number, I know where you live, I know your age, I know your gender. I can contact trace better than any business out there. We have gating, right? So we can control the flow. We can have just so many people in. We know where you're going to be and which way you're going to be facing. Everything that a business would wish they could do in order to avoid an outbreak, we do. Our entire sector does. So I'd say to Inslee, stop the narrative about gyms. Stop lumping gyms in with bars and restaurants. It's very different. Go look and be curious enough to say, why aren't outbreaks happening? Instead of just getting on there and Dr. Lofe just saying, well, we're pretty sure this could be happening here. Yeah. Well, we're pretty sure it's not. So that's what I'd say there. The local community, I'd say, hang in there. Get out and exercise. We'll be back, we'll be open, so will a lot of your other community gyms, but support those local businesses. Support your local gym, your local boutique.
Choose the pros, Alignment Pros. When your vehicle needs brakes, shocks, struts, or alignment, choose the experts in their field. Alignment Pros and Express Lube with a 5-star rating. The work they perform on your vehicle is as impeccable as their shop. With state-of-the-art equipment, Alignment Pros can handle all large or small vehicles, specialty cars, lifted or lowered. Alignment Pros does them all. Keep your car in top shape at Alignment Pros and Express Lube in East Wenatchee.
If you want to learn more about the world of real estate here in North Central Washington, we have you covered. At Home with NCWLIFE. Join Crystal Hughes for a weekly dive into all things real estate. She'll sit down with agents, home inspectors, and professionals from throughout the real estate industry to help you either buy, sell, build, or improve your home. That's At Home with NCWLIFE. Saturday and Sundays at 10:30 and throughout the week here on your local TV station, the NCWLIFE channel. Dr. Wayne Latimer's Chiropractic and Integrative Multicare specializes in all level of injury care. If you've been injured in an auto accident, on the job, have a sports injury, or a simple fall, call today for a free consultation. They offer a combined multi-care approach with medical, chiropractic, physical therapy, massage, and acupuncture. For relief from long-standing injuries to basic solutions for the weekend warrior, Latimer's Chiropractic Integrative Multicare is one stop, one location.
Welcome back. My next guest is Sasha Slayman, who is the Legislative Affairs Director for the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce. I wanted to get the Chamber's take on the recent rollbacks to the phased reopening plan. Like Blair McCaney, she points to a lack of data that shows that high rates of COVID transmissions are occurring because of businesses. most of which are following state and local guidelines to the T. Here's our interview.
From the chamber's perspective, going into this new shutdown, what's your guys' position on this?
The shutdown came as kind of a gut punch to us. We got some rumblings about it on Saturday, but really it was taken by surprise. A lot of people have asked us, were we aware of it? Were businesses preparing? And the answer is no. We have found with statewide data that the industries that were shut down are actually not responsible for much of that COVID spread that we're seeing. And so we feel that it's a little bit of a punishment in a way that you can think about it to businesses who have been doing a really great job this entire pandemic of making sure that their families and their employees and their customers are all safe, especially here right away in the pandemic. Our businesses were distributing masks to their customers if they forgot them. They were doing social distancing, allowing people to work from home. So for us, this beast that we're in right now, this huge explosion of cases, I don't know if you saw yesterday, our case count locally tripled. This is really serious, but it's happening in people's homes and it's happening in social lives and gatherings. And actually the businesses that were shut down this week provided really safe spaces for people. You could go bowling with your mask on. You could go to the museum with your mask on and distanced. You could go to the gym with your mask on and work out. These were activities that people could do and kind of have some sanity and some normalcy to their lives. And now those opportunities are taken away. And what we're really afraid of with this, Dom, is that people are going to go into their homes and watch the latest Amazon release, without masks because they're not regulated in their homes. So we're asking people to please make good decisions in your personal life and not gather.
Yeah, speaking personally, it's hard to be optimistic about people's personal adherence to wearing masks at things like Thanksgiving. I can't help but see this as businesses being punished for personal decisions.
Right. That's very simply, that is exactly kind of where we're at. And we're trying hard to not see it as a punishment. And I know the governor has talked about it not being a punishment, but I don't really, as a person, know how else to interpret that. It was DOH did a great presentation last Tuesday on the severity of the situation from a health perspective. And when I was watching that, I interpreted it as, okay, this is a parent telling you, hey, don't do this anymore. You're going to get grounded. And so I expected something to come from the governor, maybe 2 weeks down the line if things didn't change, 3 weeks down the line if things didn't change, but to come around 5 days later and go, oh, this is businesses. And you're like, well, but actually it's people's interactions socially. Halloween just happened and there were a lot of Halloween parties. We're really, as a business community, trying to keep people safe. And so it's unfortunate that, and right before the holidays, actually the hospitality industry, the statewide association came out with some numbers. There's going to probably be around 100,000 people on the unemployment line just from the hospitality industry. And hospitality tourism industry here locally is our fourth largest industry in the Chelan-Douglas County area. So that's going to be a huge hit locally. There's going to be a lot of families here, Dom, that are hurting in the holiday season.
Yeah. Do you see or expect any sort of help from the federal? Because last time in the spring we shut down, we had the Paycheck Protection Program, fraud and all. The idea was that you give businesses money to pay their people, to keep their people employed. So the whole structure from the business down to the employees family, trickle down, is still there when things come back online. Is there any sort of aid or stimulus or help that's going to come from the federal or state government?
Well, Governor Inslee announced in his press conference that there's $50 million set aside for businesses, and they just have to figure out how to get it out. I'm crossing my fingers that they do that through our port. Our port did an incredible job supporting businesses during this pandemic, getting money out in the form of grants to them. So I hope they can make that partnership with the port again, because they really have a well-oiled machine. As for the federal government, I have no idea. That's something that we're lobbying with our congressional leaders, Representative Schreier and Representative Newhouse. We've talked to both of them, not this week, but in general. We've spoken to them about the importance of keeping that Paycheck Protection Program alive. It really helped a lot of folks here. And actually the forgiveness piece for the folks who've already taken advantage of that is huge. If if Congress would pass automatic forgiveness of 150,000 or less, that would take away 80% of our local businesses' debt right there. So, I mean, most of it will be forgiven. We know that, but if it was an automatic threshold, that would be helpful. So we've talked to our congressional leaders about that. We're hopeful that there will be something coming from the federal government, but I'm sure you know really well, this time period between election and new representation is really tough, but I hope they rally together and put something together soon, because businesses and individuals, I mean, unemployment insurance is a whole other beast for the individual who's unemployed. And that's really important to business owners, because business owners feel awful letting these are family for some folks. And I was talking to Commissioner Sutton, who had to close down his business really early on in the pandemic. And he talks about his employees as family. I mean, he doesn't even use the word employee when he talks about letting those folks go. He said, I had to lose my family. And so that's what a lot of business owners locally feel. There are a lot of small businesses, a lot of intimate relationships. And so it's really tough. And so we're hoping that the state unemployment insurance is actually solvent the way that the governor talks about it, and that there is some help coming from the federal government, both for the business owner through that PPP and other loans opportunities, but also for the individual who's let go.
Sure. What can we as a community do, on a more micro basis, on an individual household basis? What can we do to support these businesses that are going to be hurting over the next 4 weeks?
That's a great question. And I think there's a decent amount that we can do. You can only control what you can control, right? So shopping local will be really big. Try really hard. I know it's convenient, but try really hard to make Amazon your last option to this holiday season. All of our retailers are doing creative things to make it safer for you to shop. So if you really aren't comfortable going downtown and physically going into Tumbleweed, you can give them a call and have curbside pickup. You can call Firehouse Pets and have curbside pickup. I think another way is you could buy gift cards for folks. The movie theater isn't open anymore, but it will be one day. So maybe you can give in a stocking stuffer a gift card to Gateway Cinema, and then, so that way people can enjoy that later, or a donation to the museum, different things like that. I know I do yoga, for example, at Seattle Yoga Lounge, and I told the guys, please don't refund me the money that I just paid for my month. I want you guys to keep that, and I'll practice virtually with you. So any way that you can give back. Restaurants, of course, are horridly hit. They have to go back to takeout. So my family does Takeout Tuesday. If you can afford to do those things, I think it's really beneficial, but also understanding that a lot of people are going to be hurting financially, and maybe these things aren't feasible for some folks. But if you can do Takeout Tuesday, shop local, those are the biggest things. And just be kind to folks. We don't know what everyone's going through. Be kind to folks that you see. There's a lot of people who are hurting. I think that's the number one. I mean, it's free to be kind, right? That's the number one easiest thing you can do, is be kind to the folks in the grocery store, be kind to the folks that you see on the street. And hopefully you're not interacting with too many people right now, right? Or with your mask. It's hard to smile under your mask, but you can do it with your eyes, right? So just be there for folks and check in on your friends. And if you know a business owner, check in on them. If you know someone who's been laid off, check in on them. I think we just really need to come together and be one community right now.
Yeah, well said. I mean, this is where you put your money where your mouth is. If you care about businesses and you care about your community, it's just a piece of cloth, and it's all you got to do. A little bit goes a long way. But well, thank you for speaking with me. And my last question is always, is there something that, is there anything that we didn't cover that you think the public should know about this issue, going forward?
I think the biggest thing is, this thing is real, and this thing is spreading like wildfire, not just here, across the state, across the country. And it's pretty brutal. And I know a lot of people say, well, most people get it and they're fine. And that, thank God, right? But there are a lot of people, and you don't know who's going to be fine and who's not going to be fine. My mom's a respiratory therapist caring for COVID-19 patients at the hospital. She's taken several of those who have passed off the ventilator, and she sees this in a very real way. And this is a hard fight for folks. They're on a ventilator for 2-3 weeks at a time. Their families can't go see them. This is real. So please, we would all like to get back to normal as soon as possible. Hopefully a vaccine's on the way, but until then, please do your best to stay home, stay healthy, wear that mask when you do need to go out in public. and shop local and just stay healthy. And please find a creative way to do Thanksgiving and don't have 30 people at your house. We really, like we said earlier in this thing's spreading in families and in friend groups. It's not really spreading in businesses. So the way that we can get our businesses back open is to curb the spread. And you can do that by not hanging out with 30 other people in your home without a mask.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you, Sasha.
Thanks, Dom.
While it may be hard to resist those big brown eyes and pleading face, many people aren't aware that people food can be dangerous to pets. And it's not just because of the added weight gain. Some foods are downright dangerous, including chocolate. For a detailed list of dangerous foods, go online to pawsandclawsvh.com. If you suspect your pet has eaten something dangerous, please call Dr. Shauna Baez and her staff at 888-PAWS, as your pet's health is important to us.
Visit the Chelan Valley for the first annual Small Town Holiday Celebration featured at these local merchants. Bear Foods is the place to find everything you need for a happy and healthy holiday. From great food to great gifts, it's all here in downtown Chelan's classic grocery mercantile. When in Chelan, do not miss One Wines. It could be the most unique and intimate wine tasting experience you will find. Find it at One Wines, the definitive boutique winery in Chelan. Be a part of Small Town Holidays now playing throughout the Chelan Wine Valley.
Mary Maids of Wenatchee believes a clean home is a happy home. Mary Maids provides holiday cleaning services to cheer about. Don't let the seasonal cleaning ruin the festive fun. Mary Maids can simplify your life at a great value. It's never too soon to start planning a holiday perfect home. Mary Maids of Wenatchee happily offers a worry-free guarantee. Locally owned and operated, let Mary Maids do the cleaning while you focus on your family and friends. Call Mary Maids today.
For all the latest news in North Central Washington, go to NCWLIFE.com or find us on Facebook. Got a news tip? Email us at news@NCWLIFE.com or call 888-2020.
Welcome back. We are living in uncertain times. That we can be sure of. We can't be sure about much else, though, unfortunately, and that's because of the nature of this novel virus that we are learning more and more about every day. It's crucial that we keep our minds and ears open to the emerging science and listen to the experts, like scientists from the CDC and WHO. It's important that we use the most reliable, most recent data to inform our decisions. That's why the most recent proclamation from the governor's office misses the mark if you look at the data. It shuts down businesses like gyms and bowling alleys, which have the ability to limit the number of people in their space at any given time and ensure adequate social distancing between patrons, as well as sanitization between customers. These are also businesses that have been enforcing mask mandates. By all measures, they have been doing everything right. And there is very little recent evidence that shows that COVID-19 spreads in these businesses when they are taking the proper precautions. Yet the same proclamation allows for up to 200 people to be indoors for religious services. While there have been no documented accounts of a local gym or restaurant being linked to the spread of COVID-19, the same is not true for local churches. According to the Wenatchee World, the Chelan Douglas Health District asked close to 50 people who attended this super spreader event in early November to quarantine for 2 weeks and get tested for COVID-19. Yet it's local mom and pop diners or the gym owned by your neighbor that is bearing the economic brunt of this most recent proclamation. It would be one thing if this rollback was based on hard and fast data that shows COVID-19 transmission rates are tied to businesses like gyms and fitness centers. But it's hard to look at these new regulations as anything other than piecemeal, haphazard, onerous, and unfair to some, while completely overlooking others. And why? Is it fear of political blowback? If so, that should not be a factor in making decisions regarding public health. Public health decisions should be based on evidence and data, not out of fear of offending a voting bloc. I will continue to ask questions like these and follow up on this issue in the coming weeks. We'll also be taking a look at vaccines and when average folks in North Central Washington can expect to have access to a COVID-19 vaccine. So join me next time on Common Sense.
I'm Brian Thorpe with Global Car Care, and you're watching NCWLIFE channel.